There are forces in this world that, we think we understand. We talk of good and evil as if they're just two sides of a coin. Locked in this eternal struggle, we create stories, myths, and laws to define them, to contain them. We believe we can spot evil. We can see it in the glint of a hateful eye. We can hear it in the poison of a whispered lie. We build our societies on the idea that if we can just fight the evil, we can protect the good. But what if I told you there's another force at play? A force far more insidious, far more destructive, and one that we often mistake for something totally harmless. This force doesn't wear a menacing cloak or carry a sharpened blade. It often wears the face of a neighbor, a friend, or even someone in your own family. It speaks with the confidence of certainty, but honestly, it's hollow inside. It's a shadow that creeps into the heart of society not through malice, but through a peculiar kind of blindness. It's a contagion that spreads not through ill intent, but through the absence of thought. To understand this terrifying theory, you've really got to understand the man who conceived it. His name was Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He wasn't a hardened soldier or some cynical politician. He was a theologian. He was a pastor. He was a man of deep faith and profound intellect. He lived in Germany during one of history's most tumultuous periods. He saw his country, a nation of poets, thinkers, and innovators, begin to descend into darkness. He watched the fabric of society tear apart as the Nazi regime rose. He felt compelled by conscience to understand how such a catastrophe could happen. Bonhoeffer was a man of peace, forced to confront absolute power. He saw friends and colleagues fall silent. He saw others join the chorus of a hateful ideology. He asked, how could a civilized people embrace barbarism? Was it because they were all secretly evil? Was every German a monster in waiting? Bonhoeffer thought not. He believed a different force had infected the soul of the nation. His search wasn't academic. It was a desperate attempt to diagnose a sickness consuming everything he loved. His opposition was not quiet. He helped found the Confessing Church, Protestant Christians resisting Nazification. He spoke out, he wrote, he organized. Those actions led to his arrest by the Gestapo in 1943. In a cold prison cell, facing mortality, he wrote his most haunting observations. In letters and papers from prison, stripped to mind and spirit, he reflected on what destroyed his world. There he articulated his theory of stupidity. He did not mean low IQ, he meant a moral and intellectual failing, acquired mindlessness. Bonhoeffer's theory is both simple and honestly, profoundly unsettling. He argued that stupidity, in the sense he meant it, is not an intellectual defect, but a moral one. It's a choice, often an unconscious one, to just surrender independent thought. The stupid person, Bonhoeffer observed, isn't necessarily unintelligent. They can be clever, witty, and even highly skilled in their profession. But when confronted with a certain kind of power, their ability to reason is short-circuited. They simply accept the narrative they are given, no matter how absurd or contradictory it may be. This type of stupidity isn't some innate quality, it's acquired. Bonhoeffer noted that people who were solitary and independent thinkers could, just by joining a group, suddenly start to show this failing. It's a social disease, a contagion of the mind. When a person is under the spell of a powerful political or social movement, they lose their inner autonomy. They're no longer a sovereign individual, but really just a cog in a machine. History is just littered with the wreckage caused by this very phenomenon. Look back at the rise of Nazism, the context that gave birth to Bonhoeffer's theory. It wasn't just a few evil men at the top. It was a mass movement fueled by millions of ordinary citizens who surrendered their critical faculties. They were told who to blame for their problems, their neighbors, their friends. They were given simple answers to complex questions. Instead of questioning, they accepted. They participated in rallies, enforced discriminatory laws, looked the other way during atrocities, not because they were all hateful, but because they had stopped thinking for themselves. Their stupidity was the fertile ground in which evil could flourish. We see this pattern repeat itself throughout history in different cultures under different flags. Consider the McCarthy era in the United States during the 1950s. A wave of anti-communist hysteria led by one powerful senator swept the nation. People were encouraged to see communists under every bed. Careers were destroyed, lives were ruined. A cloud of paranoia descended, all based on flimsy evidence and baseless accusations. It wasn't that millions suddenly became malicious. They were caught in a tide of fear and willingly sacrificed reason for the comforting certainty of a simple enemy. Even today, in our interconnected world of 2025, the echoes are deafening. We see it in political polarization that divides nations. People retreat into ideological bubbles. Social media algorithms confirm biases and demonize the other side. They share sensational headlines without reading and parrot talking points from chosen leaders. So Bonhoeffer made a crucial distinction. He observed that this dangerous form of stupidity is not just a random occurrence, it is actually cultivated. It's a tool wielded by those in power. A strongman, a charismatic demagogue, a corrupt regime. Such power does not want a population of critical thinkers. A thinking populace is a threat. They ask inconvenient questions. They demand accountability. They see through lies and the propaganda. A rising power needs a population that is compliant, unquestioning, easily manipulated. The process begins subtly. Leaders simplify issues into us versus them narratives. They create an enemy to be feared and blamed. It could be a minority group, a neighboring country, a political opposition. By focusing public anger on that target, the leader deflects scrutiny and consolidates power. They foster constant crisis because fear kills clear thinking. Fear is the enemy of reason. A fearful public is a controllable public. Next, the leader isolates people from alternative information. They attack the free press, calling journalists enemies. They create a closed information loop where the leader's voice is the only trusted voice. Slogans replace reasoned arguments. Rallies replace public discourse. Emotion rises above evidence. Over time, people inside the bubble lose the ability to tell truth from falsehood. We are conditioned to fear the villain, the person with a malevolent plan. But Bonhoeffer's theory forces us to confront a more disturbing truth. Stupidity is a more dangerous enemy than evil. Why? Because evil is, by its nature, limited. An evil person acts from a place of self-interest, greed, hatred. Their actions, while destructive, are often predictable. You can understand their motives, and in understanding them, you can sometimes anticipate and counteract their plans. Stupidity, on the other hand, is utterly unpredictable. It does not operate on logic. It is an internal state of being that has been untethered from external reality. A person in the grip of this acquired stupidity can be made to believe anything and therefore to do anything. They are not guided by a coherent plan but by the shifting winds of group sentiment and the commands of their leader. This makes them a volatile and chaotic force. You cannot reason with them, you cannot bargain with them, and you cannot predict what they will do next. They are a human weapon with the safety turned off. Furthermore, evil is often self-limiting. A society composed entirely of evil, self-interested individuals would quickly collapse into a war of all against all. Stupidity, however, fosters a powerful, albeit delusional sense of community. The stupid, in Bonhoeffer's sense, band together. They find strength in numbers, they reinforce each other's beliefs, and egg each other on to more extreme positions and actions. An evil individual is a threat, but a mass movement of the unthinking is a civilization-ending catastrophe. It is an army that believes it is a holy crusade. This is why Bonhoeffer was more afraid of the fool than the knave. Imagine you are a shopkeeper in a small town, a town you've lived in your whole life. Suddenly, a new political movement sweeps through. At first it's just talk. The talk gets louder, more aggressive. Neighbors you've known for years start speaking in slogans. They put up new flags. They call to purify the town, to get rid of the undesirables. You see the absurdity and the danger. You know it's wrong. You try to speak up in the local tavern. Your words are met with cold stares. You are told you're not a true patriot, accused of sympathizing with the enemy. Old friends cross the street to avoid you. Customers stop coming to your shop. Your children are ostracized at school. You haven't done anything wrong. You have refused to stop thinking. You have refused to join the chorus. In a world gone stupid, the thinking person becomes the outcast, the traitor. The pressure to conform is immense. It's not just social, it's economic, personal, profoundly isolating. It's easier to go along. This is the personal cost of resisting mass stupidity. The scientist presenting climate data to deniers. The journalist reporting truths and getting death threats. The family member at a holiday dinner shouted down. In each case, they are not fighting evil intent. They face a fortress of certainty, a collective delusion impervious to facts. The emotional toll is devastating. It makes you question your sanity. Bonhoeffer lived this reality, an intellectual, a man of faith surrounded by a rising tide of madness. He could have stayed silent, he could have fled, that would have been easy, but he chose to stand his ground, to be a voice of reason in the storm. His story is a testament to the courage it takes to stand against unthinking conformity. So if this theory is so powerful, so relevant, why isn't it common knowledge? Why isn't Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity taught in every school and discussed on every news program? Part of the answer lies in the discomfort of the truth itself. It is far more comforting to believe that the world's problems are caused by a few bad apples. It allows us to place the blame squarely on others, the villains, the monsters. We can point our fingers at them and feel secure in our own righteousness. We are the good guys, they are the bad guys. Bonhoeffer's theory shatters that comfort. It suggests that the line between good and evil is not a wall between us and them, but a fragile line running through every human heart. It implies that any one of us, under the right circumstances of pressure or persuasion, could fall prey to this acquired stupidity. It forces us to look inward, to question our own beliefs, our own group loyalties, our own capacity for unthinking conformity. This kind of self-reflection is difficult, it is painful, it is far easier to ignore the theory and continue pointing fingers outward. Furthermore, those in power have no incentive to promote this idea. A population that values critical thinking is the greatest threat to manipulative leadership. Why would any aspiring autocrat or corrupt political party want to arm the public with the intellectual tools to see through their own propaganda? The entire enterprise of mass manipulation relies on the public remaining unaware of the mechanisms being used against them. Keeping Bonhoeffer's theory in obscurity serves the interests of power. His profound observations, born from the crucible of a Nazi prison cell, have remained largely in the domain of theologians and academics. They have been treated as a historical curiosity, a footnote in the story of a brave martyr, rather than as the urgent, timeless warning they truly are. The theory has been hidden in plain sight, suppressed not by an overt conspiracy, but by a collective, unspoken agreement to look away. We have chosen the comfort of a simple fable over the complexity of a difficult truth. But the cost of this ignorance is now becoming terrifyingly clear in our modern world. We stand today on a precipice. The forces Bonhoeffer warned us about are not confined to the history books. They are in our politics, on our screens, and sometimes at our own dinner tables. The contagion of stupidity, fueled by fear and amplified by technology, threatens to unravel the very fabric of our societies. The warning he issued from his prison cell nearly a century ago has never been more urgent. We are living in his prophecy. This is not a drill, this is the test. The path of unthinking conformity is a siren's call. It offers belonging, certainty, and the intoxicating feeling of righteousness. It absolves us of the difficult work of thinking for ourselves. But we must see it for what it is, a trap. It is the path to surrendering our freedom, our humanity, and our future. Resisting it will not be easy. It requires courage. It requires the willingness to stand alone, to be misunderstood, and to be unpopular. The antidote to this acquired stupidity is not genius, it is something far more accessible. It is awareness. It is the conscious, daily act of independent thought. It is reading widely, listening to those with whom we disagree, and questioning the narratives that are spoon-fed to us. It is teaching our children not what to think but how to think. The power of a demagogue evaporates when the people refuse to be his echo. The power of propaganda dissolves when the people learn to see through it. Stupidity is a choice, and we can choose differently. This is the challenge before us. We must resurrect Bonhoeffer's warning from the dust of history and hold it up as a mirror to our own time. We must recognize that the ultimate defense of a free society is not a powerful army or a strong economy, but a population of sovereign, thinking individuals. The struggle against stupidity is the defining struggle of our age. It is a quiet battle fought not on a field with weapons but in the private chambers of our own minds, and it is a battle we must win. Our future depends on it. If you found this video thought-provoking, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay curious, stay critical, and see you in the next video.